Jerome Span. Of course, I'm here to tell you about our sponsor today. And our sponsor is, of course, and will forever be longstanding. Hey, mind you, he don't give me no money, but this is my man's. I got to hold him down. It is Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, Swopes is out here trying to change lives. He's trying to help get these young athletes into college each and every week. Every day he dedicates a lot of time to this. This man has a serious passion for helping others further their education and further their lives in with a lot of great ways. They are on Facebook. Make sure you look up Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Swopes is spelled Swopes. It is ran by Mr. Nathaniel Swopes Jr. He is the man in Houston, if y'all don't know. But yes, make sure you go check him out if you're trying to get your kid into school, or hell, if you're even a kid here that's thinking about going into school and you want to try and keep playing, keep your athletic career going, make sure you go check out Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. He is the man that is going to help you keep that dream going. So make sure you follow them on Facebook, and you can get right a hold of Mr. Swopes there. He will help you get into college and keep your dream going for continuing to play your sports. So again, people, Swopes Athletic Recruiting and Scouting. Check it out now. Help change some kid around you that you know's future, or hell, even your future.
Yeah, Enigma in the house. My man J Span, Titan Studios. It's called From the Heart. Keeping it real is what all the song's about. Never selling your soul. Always staying true to yourself. Alright, yeah. Check it out. Money, cars, but will never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the heart. Yeah, money, cars, but will never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the start. Man, money, cars, but will never get you far unless you gonna spit it from the heart. Yeah, money.
And welcome back to your favorite weekly sports show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is ITC Sportsball, and I am your man, Jerome Span. Of course, the prettiest face on ITC. Don't you forget it, baby. Of course. And I am here with the regular sports ball crew. We've got that hot take spitter, the man who rips like Dylon spits. He is the modern day Ali on the microphone. When he steps into your home, all your ladies is gone. He is that man.
You know it's your boy Mace ready to go.
And of course, we've got ITC's resident troll. He is that guy that sees some fire and he's like, I got this gasoline and gunpowder. What's happening? If you let him into your brain, he will drive you insane. He is that man, Daryl.
The biggest party of the summer was so great because my boy, we not doing no spoilers today. I'll let it happen. Let it go.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate y'all coming back again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time that we drop something new, because we are getting back in our weekly set. So make sure you got that notification bell there, because we're also going to be doing a drop soon for something just a little nice for one of y'all. But to get to the point, last night was a very big night. We had Summerslam, the night of champions in the summer. Was the biggest party of the summer. Everybody was having a good time. The crowd seemed to be raucous last night, and it was awesome to see. So we're going to start with just overall thoughts. Daryl, how did you feel the night of SummerSlam went?
Besides 2 matches of lunch breaks, it was a good card. Maybe a smoke break, maybe gather your food, maybe get some nachos, like you knew what the end result was, like that's
let's get right to it. You calling them out. Okay, what was your bathroom, as they traditionally call, what was your bathroom break matches? What were they?
Okay. No one watches the kickoff show, but I did. So I watched the kickoff show. Then when the pay-per-view started, that was the lunch break, because right there it was just Logan Paul and Ricochet. I knew how it was gonna go. I put it in my predictions. Call me out on that one. I said Logan Paul.
Listen, bro. At least we know when Logan Paul's gonna wrestle. Excuse me. At least we know that when he's going to wrestle, we know that there's going to be some sort of highlight, whether it's a complete botch or it's something great happens. But there's going to be a highlight moment in that match.
Well, I feel like it was a lot cooler in that arena yesterday than it was when it was on Friday, because people were slipping off the freaking turnbuckles and stuff because of it, because it was so darn hot in that thing.
Where was it at? It was in Dallas, right?
No, Detroit.
No, it was in Detroit.
What was in Dallas? Something was in Dallas this weekend.
That was Raw. It was Raw. I think it was Raw. Maybe. Possibly.
Maybe so. I don't know.
Possibly, but it was hot.
I think Mace is just crazy.
Yesterday was a long day. Yesterday was a long, hot day for me. So,
but it was hot in that building. It was like no AC, like the sweat. Try to get on a turnbuckle, slip, fall, hit your head. That's what it was. That was 100% going on Botchamania. That was 100%, and that's a pretty rare one because you never see a botch like that. It was really bad. That's how hot it was. But let's get back. The second match was that good old Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler match.
You did the match we didn't even pick between all of us. The match that we
nobody even put that match in prediction, bro. That was Ronda's getting fed up with wrestling because she can't do it, so we got to give her something she can do slightly in an effort to keep her in the organization.
Boy, I tell you.
That's what that was. That was nothing other than to appease Ronda because she's probably getting upset.
Oh no, she up out of here, man.
That nobody wants to wrestle with her.
She up out of there. What all the reports that have been coming out over the last 2 months is this is her last match with WWE for a minute. Like her contract is up. She deucing out. That's what everybody says. So, I mean, cool. I will say
this was the butter her up match to see if she'll come back.
No, this was the, hey, I'm up out of here. Let me try and put my girl over with the last little bit of power that I got before I do up out of here, bro. Because look, she knows. Look, Ronda, she ain't stupid. She hear how the fans react to her. She know what it is, bro. So she's making her exit, and now she's gonna be one of these, what's known as part-timers, right? She's gonna be one of them that comes back, works a program, and then she up out of there. Right, like I think she's figured out at this point the long-term wrestling thing where she's just on the road all the time and she's doing it. It's not going to work because she don't have the ability to do the things that are needed as a wrestler, such as put on quality matches night to night, give quality promos. Her work is terrible.
She's got no charisma.
None. Zero. Stingy with De Niro, bro. Like it's out of control. But Daryl, I think you're right though. On that match, but I got to disagree with you on the Paul and Ricochet. That was an entertaining match. They told a story with that match, and I have to give it to them. The ending was great. The spots that they hit were great. Again, though, my one thing is I do have a little bit of that Jim Cornette in me where I'm like, dog, y'all be taking a lot of unnecessary risks. It be looking cool, but whoo, y'all boys be trying to kill each other.
Like I said, if Paul is in the ring, either something spectacular is going to go right or wrong.
Flip. That's all that match was. Flip.
Okay, but who else is out there throwing their body around like that?
Darby Allin. Yeah, I ain't wrong.
Bro. Stop. But Darby Allin is he's closer to Jeff Hardy than he is to what these dudes be in there doing. He throws his body recklessly and carelessly. Okay, so that's a whole different ball game. But I will say this: their match was very entertaining, and if you didn't sit and watch it, I think you missed out on one of the better matches of the night. They got the crowd going right away. I hate the fact that Logan Paul is so good at this, because I don't really like him. I ain't one to front. I don't really like him or his brother. I think they both some douchebags, if you want to be honest with you. but god damn, is he a good wrestler, man?
Say,
like, oh
it's,
my
it's
god.
okay. It's okay to dislike him, but respect the fact that he's taking wrestling serious.
Yep. And every time he comes, the one thing that I think all of us, Daryl, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, that all real like long-term wrestling fans want is if you're going to be a celebrity that comes and does this, take it serious. Don't take it light. Don't come in there and half butt it, right? Come in here and take it serious.
Yeah. That's probably why there's a difference between Logan Paul boos and Dirty Dom boos.
Oh, Dirty Dom. Hey, that's our boy around here. You show him respect. That is the North American champion, Dirty Dom. Okay.
Did Dro just acknowledge the NXT title? Yes, he did.
Hey. I'm acknowledging that Dom has greatness. I don't care about no NXT. It's only great because Dom has it. Don't you get it? Otherwise, it means nothing. It's only good because Dom has it.
Let's get to the best triple threat match I ever seen in my life. That's what we can get to. I'm happy. I am happy that Charlotte didn't win. I'm happy that Asuka didn't win. I'm happy that Bianca won because then that cash-in was done on her. Because everybody's sick of Bianca winning. Everybody. Sick of her winning.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. That crowd cheered for her when she won last night. That crowd was happy when she won that match last night. So I'm going to have to disagree with you, brother. I think people wanted to see edge and a difference to her character instead of her being the same powder puff girl all the time. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but like basically that's what her characters are, right? Like the super nice girl, the powder puff girl that you want to cheer for. Don't get me wrong, not talking about her wrestling ability because I think her matches all the time are very good, but as far as the personality they were letting her exude, it was all just one note. So now with what happened with EO cashing in, I think it's a very easy way now. Take her off for a little bit, right? Because they played up the knee injury thing, right? Give her a little bit of time off. Because in fairness, we got to respect. She's basically been solid working for like 2.5 years straight, right? So give her a little bit of time off. Let her come back with a little bit of refresh on her character. Boom, you got Bianca Belair right back where you want her to be. But I'm going to tell you this. I love Bianca Belair, but boy, I was happy when EO Sky got her cash in last night. Woo!
Hey, man, sometimes you just smell blood in the water and you got to go hunt.
Hey,
it was glorious.
I think this is. I'm just happy that didn't let Charlotte win because she needs a few losses for character development.
Look, I think WWE knows better. Detroit's not a city where you need to try and put Charlotte Flair over there. You would have heard 57,000 people in there. Boo! Like they didn't.
Like I said,
that.
This is like it's just good. It's good to. And for her to be in those matches, okay, cool. But for the longevity of her career, I guess, and for the division itself, it's good for her to lose. Anytime that she loses, it's good for the entire group.
Don't worry.
We've talked about it multiple times on here that is one of our biggest harps over and over with Charlotte Flair is that she's always in the title picture and she's always winning. You got to give her some losses. You got to give her some stuff where she's working without the belt in the picture to make when she's fighting for the title actually mean more, and where it seems like, hey, there's a chance she might not actually win this thing because as they had it going into SummerSlam, it almost felt like an inevitable. Oh my God, I can't say inevitability. Look, man, I slept in late. I'm still a little groggy. I'm getting it. I'm getting right. All right, I'll be right. Don't worry. But it's inevitable, right? Where, you felt like Charlotte was going to win every time. Now you don't really feel like that. Now it's like, okay, you've seen her lose in a couple title matches here to where it actually can give you some questions on what's going to happen. But Daryl, of course, I got to ask you though, because you are a big Gunther fan. Got to ask you, how did you feel about the match between him and Drew McIntyre?
I want to frown my face at you. I do not like Gunther.
Yes, you do. Hold on, Mace. Hold on. You be here with me doing this show together too. Hasn't he been a Gunther supporter all this time, or am I crazy?
I've been just carrying my.
I think what it is, he's hated Gunther's opponents more than he dislikes Gunther until this. So it's like an enemy of my enemy situation that he's been having to deal with up until this point.
There's not a convincing opponent for me. Like you can have Drew over and over again, Sheamus over and over again. There's too many horrible opponents. You know what was the most interesting, other than that Gunther match, because it was full of action and lots of chops. When they did the Summerslam Battle Royal, I know my boy was in it, but at the same time, it was like honestly the return of Omos because he'd been taken off the TV for a while. And I think the only person really to need an Intercontinental title that will work will probably be Omos until Gunther beats the Honky Tonk Man streak, his whole streak thing. That's when you give it to Omos.
And let me tell you something. That's the best thing that happened last night is that we found out we getting Honky Tonk Man up out the paint finally, bro. Like I'm sorry, been so tired of hearing about Honky Tonk Man, the longest rated Intercontinental. Nobody cares about Honky Tonk Man. Get him about the paint. This Elvis impersonator. You think I'm supposed to think this is glorious because he's an Elvis impersonator? Get him out the paint. Had enough of this. This is nonsense with Honky Tonk Man. That was the best thing that happened. Thank you, Gunther, for getting him about the paint because he's going to be about the paint. We know Gunther ain't losing for another like 30-something days at least. So see you later, Honky Tonk. Deuces.
But what about that boy, L.A. Knight?
See, that's what I wanted to get to. I was going to ask you, Daryl, you are the most adamant L.A. Knight supporter that I know. I see a lot of wrestling fans that like him. That is your nigga. How you feel about what happened last night?
Let me talk to you. That man, LA Knight, was grinding. That man was sweating. That man has been telling y'all over and over again, he's that man. That's all I'm gonna say. Because LA Knight, the opponents that in that battle royal, it wasn't no funky battle royal. I was not dealing with. It wasn't like that good old double or nothing freaking battle royal when half the freaking wrestlers are outside the ring fighting and not in the ring, and you have your pockets in the ring.
Stop. Why you gotta bring pockets up? Leave that. Let's not even talk about pockets.
It wasn't no gimmick. It actually felt like an actual battle royal. You had two big guys, like always felt like a little good old giant Royal Rumble with everybody in the ring. It was pretty good. You had some little brief moments of greatness, and you had some brief moments of just terrible. But that battle royal was good, and LA Knight won it. He deserved it. If you're not gonna give him a title, keep on making him look like he is deserving for that U.S. title. That was one of the highlights for me. That was LA Knight.
Well, I gotta ask you this. So clearly the plans are for him to go after Austin Theory, right? And to beat Theory for the title. We know that because they're not going to give him the world title at this point, right? So it's going to be he has to go after Theory. How long do you think they should play it out until he actually wins the title?
I think they're going to do it at Payback. because you already think that card's already stacked already in a way. Because
so with the premise of Payback, though, what's gonna happen between now and then, though?
Bunch of promo talking and unnecessary matches of Theory putting his corny freaking finisher on people. That's about it, I will say. We're going to still keep on building LA Knight. LA Knight's so over. He's probably the most over person in there. We're not going to use Seth Rollins because we're just tired of hearing the for 3 minutes every time he gets to the freaking ring.
No, we're not. Don't you say that. Don't you talk about Seth freaking Rollins like that. I will not allow it. Not around mine, you don't.
I hope
now we know who Mace's guy is. You, LA Knight, Daryl, Mace is Seth freaking Rollins. Hey,
not around mine, you don't.
Hey, maybe the Cowboys need a participation trophy like Seth Rollins too.
Hey, stop! You stop that! You stop that right now! Because I do want to ask you about how that match actually played out. They did a good job telling the story, right? They worked through it very, very well. They even had to call back to the power bomb into the guard that injured Finn Balor 7 years ago, right? They did everything. They had it all in there. My question for you is it now truly done and dusted? Finn Balor about to get tossed out the Judgment Day. Ooh, Daryl's thinking hard on this one. Yeah, I got him on that. He's like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe.
It's a no and a yes. Because, I seen JD in that Battle Royal. And they've been saying that man couldn't wrestle for a minute. And then he's actually in a Battle Royal. This is going to be ultimately against Priest versus Balor at this point. If that goes to tuition, because every single time Finn's about to be close to winning, Priest didn't need to even come out there in the first place. That's what I'm trying to understand. When I was looking at that, I was like, why is Priest out here? And it's not going to cash it in. Like, there was no reason for him to even cash it in because Seth is nowhere close to being injured or hurt or anything else. Like, the man did it himself. He did the same type of cash in before. Like, he's probably the most aware of aware anything can happen. He ain't no John Cena. Let's say that. John Cena probably has the most cash-ins on him at all times at this point.
Why is John catching strays? He don't do nothing but try and make kids happy. Why he catching strays? I don't understand. John didn't even do nothing. He wasn't even there. Why he catching strays?
I just think like the Judgment Day is literally just a group that just has their dominance at one point, but they F each other over. Like,
well, if you notice, they're trying to make sure that there's variance between what they presented to you with the with the Bloodline, and Judgment Day, because you can't. It doesn't work when you end up having two dominant groups at one time, right? Like, you kind of have to let one story play out and then let like a natural rise. Like, that's part of the reason that they gave Priest the belt. I mean, the Money in the Bank, because when he gets the belt, they want that group to be on like a different level, right? That's part of the reason they gave Dom the NXT title, because you know what they're building to. A moment where the Judgment Day, they're standing in the ring, all three members with belts up in the air. You know what I mean? So it's pretty clear what they're building to, and Finn has to go for this to work. Here's what I'll say to you. You did ask the question of why did Priest even come out? It makes sense. Go back and look at most of the Judgment Day matches outside of Rhea's. Judgment Day's always coming out. Doesn't matter who's in there. Doesn't matter if it's Priest. Doesn't matter if it's Dirty Dom. Doesn't matter if it's Finn. Judgment Day always makes their appearance. So I just look at it and I say the one thing that I didn't end up enjoying about that match and how they did it, because overall I would still give it a overly positive rating, right? Like, the match and everything was great. It was just that that ending was too predictable once Finn gave the old "I'm sticking to plan A" speech, which is, wait a minute, hold on, time out. Why you sticking to plan A, baby, when that's never what y'all have done? Y'all are always like, well, plan A didn't work. Here goes plan B and C. That's what the Judgment Day does. So I just didn't understand that part of it. But overall, I thought the match was good. I will have to ask you now, Daryl, though. We got to see Roman Reigns and Jey Uso go out there and put on a pretty long match, okay? And at the end of it all, when it looked like Jey Uso was finally going to pin the Tribal Chief 1, 2, 3 on the mat, it wasn't Solo that cost him the match. It was his own twin brother, Jimmy Uso. Daryl, can you believe this happened?
His grass wasn't cut low enough. Didn't see the snake coming. I can't, man. That's so cold, dog.
Hey. And remember what Mace said? Brothers got to stick together. Remember that? And remember?
Like I said, man, the grass wasn't cut low enough, man. The snake got him, dog. He got bit.
That man said, you ain't going to be no freaking Tribal Chief. Get out of here with that nonsense. No main event mafia. This main event nonsense. No. I knew something was up instantly. Soon as the whole spear splash situation, it's too good to be true. That's all I said it was. But everybody's saying it does not make no sense for them two to be thing. They already plant. This is the thing. People are having amnesia once again. These seeds were already planted already. When the whole Jimmy thing was like, oh, Jimmy never wanted you to be Tribal Chief. Y'all forgetting about this. This was all still true. All still true. Wrestling amnesia is so great.
And they're also forgetting where the Usos literally said in an interview their dream match is facing each other at WrestleMania. The seeds was planted for you. You just look, I knew at some point Jimmy was going to have to turn on him. I just didn't expect it last night. I thought that they were going to keep him out until maybe like a Raw or SmackDown and bring him back as a SmackDown or a Raw special, and be like, hey, boom, Jimmy's back, and he turned on him. But that was perfect last night. That ended up playing great. Like May said, man, he should have kept that grass cut a little bit lower, baby. It's a damn shame to see brothers fighting like that, especially twin brothers. Damn shame. But I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't understand when you're ready to fight your brother too. So it is what it is.
We forgot the one match we're not talking about.
What match?
Cody versus Brock Lesnar.
Man, bro, do we really look? Okay, go ahead, give your piece. Because I don't think we need to say nothing. We've already told people what this is building to.
I don't want to comment on the match. I want to comment on who's the next opponent. Who's the next?
Cody?
And who's the next opponent for Cody?
That's a very good question. Because they've kind of painted themselves in a weird spot with Cody, where you don't want to put him in the title picture with Seth Rollins, but you also need him to be relevant. So I don't know at this moment, because that was part of my thought was last night was like, okay, well, who did they put him in there with next, right? Like, because he beat Brock now, like that's dead. It's clearly dead. Brock came and shook his hand, gave him the old, raise his arm, walking around the ring, and didn't turn around and F5'd him, just walked out the ring. So who do you put him in there with next?
Gunther.
You got to find somebody that them working a program with Cody builds them up. That's what you have to do. You got to find someone who I'm hard pressed to tell you right now.
Omos.
You could, but you have to. But here's the problem, though, right? Ideally, in a situation like that where Omos is working with Cody, you want Omos to come out on top. if you work that right now, currently, Omos has to, at the end of it, he has to be the loser because you need Cody to still be where he is for next year's WrestleMania when he beats Roman. You know, like they're in a weird spot because I understand what you're saying, and that's like a perfect person for him to work with, right? But also, you know what? I got it. I actually figured it out while we were sitting here talking through this. The perfect person for him to work with is Montez Ford. Because you allow Montez to now sink fully into the new role that you want him as a heel.
Can't happen.
Why not?
Cody's on Raw.
Bro, let's not act like those ancillary things actually mean something. They can always figure out a way. Like, come on, take that out of there.
They can do a trade, bro. I mean, there's all kinds of stupid things.
We've seen too many times, Daryl, where guys get drafted to one show and then all of a sudden 3 months later you see them on the other show. It's like that. Let's not do that.
You already know about the announcement team got changed too, right?
Oh yeah. They out here working Michael Cole to the death. Okay.
No. They didn't change Michael Cole.
No, I'm saying they working him to death. He about to have to announce 5 hours of wrestling a week. Michael Cole about to be he about to be working to death. Plus, you got to think, right? He's got those 5 hours with Raw and SmackDown. Then during a lot of like these events.
Is he going to Raw? He's doing Raw too,
bro. Yes. Michael Cole about to be 5 hours of wrestling, bro.
Oh my gosh! So Wade Barrett. So they gonna put Wade Barrett on Raw and Michael Cole as well, because Wade Barrett got switched too. He got switched to permanently Raw. So I guess
Michael Cole is working his butt off. But you're getting a sidetrack to the point we was talking about with Cody Rhodes. The reason I say Montez Ford is you need to build up, finding ways to build up the Street Profits with Bobby, right? This is an easy way because what you can do is you can still have Cody win at the end, right, of the rivalry, but you can give Montez some wins as you're doing the whole story. You can keep building him up and making him a single wrestler. Dawkins, the reason I don't say Dawkins, I don't think is ready to spar on the mic with Cody yet. I think that's the one part of his game that I don't think is great at this point, which is his ability to talk on the mic. So I think you have to do it with Montez, and now Montez can really sink into being a heel. He can really get that edge to his character.
How are you going to do that when they just started a storyline?
A storyline? What? Them attacking the Brawling Brutes and whoever that was? I forget who it was. OC? That's not a storyline. That's them coming back and announcing their presence as heels. That's not a storyline. What are you talking about?
They're going to do it. I'm telling you, it's going to be that.
Daryl, they're not. The reason they put them boys with Bobby Lashley is not to have them doing more tag team matches with the Brawling Brutes. Okay, that's not what they're here for. They're here. They're trying to find a way to build those guys up as singles wrestlers too, so you can also use them as singles wrestlers. So, I think that'll be the best approach. I don't know if you and Mace have an idea of who you'd like to see them work with, but that's where my head's at.
I'm just kind of lost right now because to end the Brock storyline this early, I like I said, they're in a weird spot because there's so much time to fill between what we know inevitably is going to be coming, which is Cody versus Roman. Like,
we got a whole football season coming between now and then.
Yeah, so like, is it going to be a situation where Cody's going to have to win the Rumble to get his shot at Roman? Or like, how are they going to keep him above the class basically between now and WrestleMania to say that he is outright the person that gets Roman at WrestleMania? Like I said, I think we're in a situation where he's going to have to win the Rumble to get it at this point, unless the story just shakes out crazy to where Cody is just railroading everybody. Hi, see what I did there? Is railroading everybody that he goes up against, and just kind of one of those parallel lines have to eventually cross type situations.
Yeah. That's why I go Montez Ford though, because like I said, you need somebody to where if Cody loses to him, the fans aren't going to sour on him, and it's also going to build up this person. But you can allow Cody to still end up the winner of the rivalry, right? And it doesn't hurt either character with it playing out that way. So we'll end up seeing what happens. But we also had last night something that I didn't care that much about, but I know a lot of y'all did. So Paul versus Diaz was last night. Daryl, how'd you feel about the fight?
Let's fall asleep. We wake up when something says all, and then you go back to sleep. It was Anderson Silva Paul. That's what that was again. That's what that was. Jake Paul can't freaking finish people at this point. He can finish these Tyron Woodleys, these Ben Askrens, but he can't finish Nate Diaz and Anderson Silva. That's wild.
All I'm gonna say is them boys was trying to put the sport of boxing back like last night. They was trying their hardest to make it go back and make it look terrible. Because look, it was, first off, let's start here. Whoever on their management team thought it was a good idea the weekend after Spence Crawford that they should be the next boxing match in line. Whew, you did them boys a disservice. Okay? Because that was awful. I watched them highlights and I wanted to turn it off before the highlights was even finished because it wasn't highlights. It was like watching two dudes who didn't really know that great amount about boxing trying to box. And the Diaz with the stupid slap punches. I was just, look, man, I only made it through the highlights because I just needed to see what the judges' scorecards were. That was terrible. Waste of time.
I didn't even waste my energy trying to figure out anything about this event. At this point, until Jake Paul fights in a real boxer, it's just a spectacle at this point. I mean, we all know what it is. I'm not going to berate the guy for making his money. Because that's really what it all is. And like I say, I'm not gonna knock his hustle. I'm just not gonna participate in the tomfoolery.
We'll call it what it is. The circus came rolling into town and they came to get their check.
Yep.
It's that simple. But we're gonna get moving to football. But make sure all of y'all say deuces to our boy Daryl. Our boy, he's got some things to do. He's gonna go handle those. He's out for the night. So, Daryl, make sure you tell the people where to find you before you get up out of here.
Low Elo Janitor, YouTube, Twitch. Can't forget that. Yeah. Before I leave.
Of course, Mr. Low Elo. You have a good rest of your day, sir. But, like I said, we have to get into football. And we got to pick up where we've been going. And in case you guys forgot, our rhythm is this. Look, we give you the X factors for the divisions that we covered previously, which is this week it will be the North divisions. And then we'll give you a new division, new set of division that we're talking about. And this week we're going to be talking about the West division. So let's start here with our X factors from the North division. And Mace, we might as well start with the team that has had the most success in those North divisions as of late, and start with the Cincinnati Bengals. So, Mace, who do you got? And just for context, everyone, last year, me and Mace both picked La'el Collins, which I think played out pretty fair.
I'm going to say it's going to be a resurgence of Joe Mixon for me. He had a down year. He took a pay cut this year to stay with the team because he feels really good about the team's chances of winning, which, I mean, I don't blame him. So yeah, I got to go Joe Mixon here because he's going to have to give them the consistency and tough yards to make it easier on Joe Burrow and that offensive line, because when they get into that pass happy mode, we still see that regardless of who's on that offensive line, they just seem to, as a unit, not be solid enough to keep Joe Burrow on time. Like he makes, don't get me wrong, he makes a lot of great throws, but that offense is just markedly better when he's on time. When that offense is on time, because he doesn't have the strongest arm, he's not gonna scramble and give it to you downfield for 50, no problem. So when that offense is on time, when Joe Burrow can hit that back foot and know where he's going with no issue, that offense is markedly better. So, like I said, I think Joe Mixon's consistency to keep defenses off balance is going to be the key for them if they want to stay on top of the AFC North.
So for me, I think that you actually have a great point. They do need to establish more of a running game. Their running game has been kind of porous over the last couple of years for sure. It's been a lot of putting it on Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, right? It's been a lot of that. But for me, it's Dax Hill. And the reason why I say that is, man, listen, I know football guys like myself and you know, right? But Jesse Bates was a hell of a player, man. That guy, he didn't get the credit and the recognition as a lot of guys like a Minkah Fitzpatrick because he played in Cincinnati, right? And nobody ever gives Cincinnati that kind of hype. But he's just as good, if not better. He is one of the best safeties in football over the past, I'd say,
at least 3 to 4 years.
For sure. Yeah, so he's been that good for that long. They're going to have some issues there. Because if you think about it, their strength hasn't necessarily on defense hasn't really been their defensive line. Their defensive line has been a lot of guys that are good enough, but nobody great. You know, they haven't had any like game breakers. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to disrespect what Trey Hendrickson has done over his career, but when we talk about the top ends in the game, the top guys coming off the edge, look, Trey Hendrickson is great, but he ain't in that category.
Yeah, he's not there yet. He's not there yet for me.
Yeah, so I have real questions about how that defense is going to hold up because, to my understanding, Bates was the guy that was making the calls for the secondary. So not only are you losing one of your best players in the secondary, but he's also the guy that was making the calls. So we'll see how this plays out because outside of Bates, if you really look at that secondary, it's a bunch of dudes that you're kind of like, you all right? You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's going to have a fall off. Dax Hill has to play at a high level for them this year. He has to. There's no option. He has to ball. Because if he does not ball out and at least give them, I ain't saying he has to be the exact same level of production as Bates because that's unreasonable. But what I'm saying is he has to play at a high level. It can't be like a big fall off. Because if that happens, that secondary gonna be in trouble, man. They're gonna be in trouble because for years, let's be honest. Think about when they would play the Chiefs. It wasn't their pass rush that was doing the job. It was the fact that secondary wasn't letting nobody get open, bro. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But I don't want to get caught too long on the Bengals because I know me and you, we really like a lot of their players, and we could talk about them for a good while. So let's keep it moving here. So Mace, sticking with the AFC North here, we'll go to Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you got as their X Factor player for this season?
I think it's going to be George Pickens right here. I think the mentality that he's going to bring to the team is more important than his production per se, because Pittsburgh, they seem to be one of those teams that have no issue beating you 21-17. So we don't need the offense to be explosive, but they need to have that grit to think that they're still going to stay in the game. So Pickens is going to have to he's going to have to win a lot of one-on-ones, because I still think teams are going to stack the box on Najee Harris. So
I bet you're wondering why I'm over here laughing, Mace. As soon as you said Pickens, the reason why I'm laughing is not because that's a bad pick. That's actually a great pick. But it's something with you and Pittsburgh and wide receivers, because last year it was Claypool for you. So apparently you say the wide receivers are what dictates it in Pittsburgh, baby. I like the consistency. I like it.
Somebody's got to step up out there, bro. Like, even with how good Deontay Johnson was, like consistently what he could give you, you didn't feel like he was the game breaker.
And you're not wrong. Hey, look, and while I'm over here criticizing you for consistency, might as well call me super consistent too, because last year I went Trubisky. This year I'm going Kenny Pickett. you might as well. We keep it super consistent with Pittsburgh, because we know what we can get elsewhere. We just looking at them other positions like, what y'all about to do?
So we know it's a tough team. We know they're gonna be able to run the ball. You know they're gonna play some defense. Mm-hmm. What they gonna get out of the pass game is pretty much where we at. If you haven't noticed, what they gonna get out of the pass game.
Absolutely. So we might as well move forward here to the Browns. Last year, Mace picked Amari Cooper. I took Jacoby Brissett. I think we both played out well because, Brissett was playing well for them. And then when Deshaun Watson came in, it's not even arguable. It's very measurable. He played worse than what Jacoby Brissett was presenting for them week to week. And that's not a good thing, because you're paying him $200 and something million. So that's not good. But yeah, Mace went with Amari Cooper. I went Brissett. So Mace, who do you got as the Browns X factor this year?
This one's kind of tough for me, because for me, the easy out would say Deshaun Watson, because we know he's going to be out and out the starter. Like it's not like even a question. But man, I'm looking at this defense, man, and I'm like, outside of Myles Garrett, where is the grit? Because we know how good Denzel Ward is, we know how good Greg Newsome is, but who is the leader? Myles Garrett doesn't really seem like that type of leader to get people straight. We know what he's gonna give you, but who's out there? Who's the heart on that defense? For me, I think you got to look at it's got to come from that secondary, man, and maybe it's got to be Ward. Maybe I don't know what he could do more, because we know we're gonna get locked down from Denzel Ward. We know this, but somebody's got to have a little bit of heart and leadership on that defense, because the team has everything. You look at the Browns on paper and you're like, there's no way they shouldn't win at least 10 games every year, but somehow they just ain't got it in them.
Yeah, somehow is like they're the Cleveland Browns. That's all I know.
Man, I'm going through this roster, man, and
it's not the best roster in the world, which is their GM has not done them the most favors. Let me put it that way.
I'll say maybe a Grant Delpit from I'm going to go Grant Delpit. Maybe he can step up. Maybe this is a chance for, like I said, somebody in that secondary has to be like, you know what, man. Somebody's got to be the heart and soul. Somebody's got to be the tone setter. I'm going to go Grant Delpit. I need him to. He's got to step up at this point. I think he's going into a contract year. You got to step up.
For me, it's easy. I don't disagree with anything that you said about their defense. But again, you paying a dude $200-something million to play worse than Jacoby Brissett? Whoo, man. Oh, my goodness. That you in a rush. Look, it's very simple. If Deshaun Watson continues to come out and play like he did last year, the Browns is about to be in dire straits for another 3-4 seasons after that because they got to pay him all that money. So the only thing that matters in Cleveland this year is that Uncle Creepy pull his head out his butt and get right for them. Because if he don't get right, it don't matter what Myles Garrett. Look, you could go out there and look at that defense, and it can feel like Denzel Ward is Deion Sanders and Delpit is Darrell Revis. But if Deshaun Watson come out there and stink it up, playing like worse than Jacoby Brissett, that don't mean nothing. You ain't going nowhere.
You got a point.
So that one's easy for me. Very, very easy. So now, Mace, the last team we've got left here is our guy, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, we both picked Rashad Bateman, and I think that was right on the money because we found out again real quick when he got hurt that them other dudes on that team was just track dudes like me and Mace have been telling you for years here. So, Mace, who do you got as the X factor for the team this year?
I'm gonna go with the rookie Zay Flowers, man. All the reports out of camp is that he's virtually unguardable. I'm not really trusting Odell to stay healthy. Call me crazy, but he doesn't stay healthy. So yeah, I'm not going that route. He might give you 7-8 games. Hopefully he gives you more than that, but I'm looking at Zay Flowers as a guy who's going to have to win early and win often just to get the pressure off of Mark Andrews as a pass catcher. So I'm looking at a Lamar Jackson 5,000-yard season, and I think the main reason for that will be Zay Flowers being excellent.
So for me, I think that's actually a great pick because we know that secondary, that wide receiving group most definitely needs help. So I think that's a fairly reasonable pick. But for me, it's Ronnie Stanley. And the reason why I say Ronnie Stanley is they traded Orlando Brown Jr. with the premise that we have Ronnie Stanley. He's our left tackle. We don't need another dude to come over here and play that because Ronnie's our guy. Ronnie hasn't been healthy in seasons. I don't know how much you could really count on him being healthy going into this year. Look, before the injuries, I think Mace would agree. Ronnie Stanley was a top 3 tackle in the league. And he was balling. But he's been hurt over and over and over. In the last 3 seasons, right? Let's just talk about it. He has played 6, 1, and 11 games. The last time he was healthy, Mace, Lamar Jackson was the MVP. He has a great effect on that offense. We've seen it over these past couple of years when he hasn't been healthy, Mace, right? Where them tackles in Baltimore, they ain't been great. I think Ronnie Stanley is the guy for me. He has to be healthy for this team to have the success, especially because we know they're going to be passing the ball more this year. You need your left tackle to be able to hold up in some of these 5-man protections so you can shift your help elsewhere. You need those guys that can hold up in one-on-ones so you can put the help where it's needed. So Ronnie Stanley, he is the one for me. But moving forward here, we'll get into the NFC North, Mace. And last year with the Packers, you picked Aaron Jones and I picked Christian Watson. I think both bared out to be pretty true there. Aaron Rodgers needed the running game last year. And Aaron Jones had what could be argued as a down year. Team wasn't as good. Christian Watson had a good year, which kept part of that offense afloat when Aaron Jones was having an off year there. So I think we both came out pretty fair there. So who was the guy for you this year, Mace?
Simple, man. Jordan Love. They have a defense capable of being their defense is top 10. You know what I'm saying? Like that defense, they've got the pieces there. Rashawn Gary is he's working his way up that ladder of pass rushers. We know Kenny Clark is still there. Jair is top 2-3 cornerbacks in the league, man. You know what you're going to get from him. Jordan Love has to protect the ball and move the ball in a lot of situations. Because the receiving core is young. Teams are probably going to stack the box to test him. So, yeah, man, Jordan Love is going to have to be accurate, and he's going to have to not be afraid to hit people over the top because those throws are going to be there, especially early on in the season when teams are like, hey, bro, you got to beat us. We're not letting you run the ball and control the clock. Jordan Love, you got to beat us.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything. It's Jordan Love, 100%. You covered all the bases. So we'll just keep it moving here. And we'll keep it moving to the Minnesota Vikings, where last year you picked Justin Jefferson. I picked Dalvin Cook. They both had good years. I think we both played out pretty right there. So, Mace, who do you got this year?
Oh, man. Minnesota's they're in a worse way on defense, man. I think the word is out there that Danielle Hunter wants out. Harrison Smith is about 45, you know what I'm saying? He can't keep it up for much longer. But I'm going to go Harrison Smith just because of the inexperience everywhere else on that defense. I think he's going to have to prepare that defense to just be good enough. Because I think that's the best case scenario for them is to just be good enough on defense. And I think it starts with Harrison Smith. So I think he's going to have to get those boys ready immediately because it is not looking good for that defense, especially like I said, if Danielle Hunter actually is up out of there, like the reports are saying that he's not happy there. So I think Harrison Smith is going to have to put the defense on his back and get them boys straight.
So I think that's actually a great pick. But for me, I am going with a different person in that secondary. And for me, it is Mr. Booth. And look, man, Andrew Booth Jr., I think, is a guy that we were both pretty high on coming out in the draft. He hasn't really shown anything at this point. In order for that defense to have success this year, they need to be able to count on, we can take away this guy. Because for the past 3-4 seasons, if we're being real, they haven't really had that dude in their secondary that's like, we've taken this dude away. We don't have to worry about that. We can shift our help elsewhere.
Yeah.
If he does not play great, that is a wasted first-round draft pick. He has to step up. He has to. This will be the second year in a system. I can understand you having some struggles when you switch from one system to another, right? It also doesn't help when you get injured, right? I get those things entirely. But you got to step up. You a first-round draft pick. They can't blow it because that's the exact position that they needed somebody at. You're supposed to be that dude for them.
So for the honorable mention for me in all this is Lewis Sign is actually, hopefully he has a healthy season. Like I said, I don't think I think he got hurt preseason or maybe week 1 or so. So
I think that was week 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so hopefully with Lewis Sign being in that defense, all the things we're seeing out of camp is that he's got the range that they thought he was going to have as a safety. So hopefully his health helps out that secondary a lot more because, like I said, at this point, we know Harrison Smith is playing in the box. He's playing 10 yards from the line of scrimmage max, you know what I'm saying? So Sign is going to have to roam but pretty much hash to hash, sideline to sideline, deep third. He's going to have to be Mr. Everything for them back there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So moving on to the ICT's adopted team, the Detroit Man Campbells, Mace. Last year, this was such a cop-out pick, and I still remember it. When I saw the pick, I was so mad. Like when I just looked at it again, I was like, this mother right here, man. Mace picked the whole O-line unit, okay, which is such a big cop-out if I ever seen one. And I picked DJ Chark. So Mace, we ain't letting you do another whole unit this year. Okay?
Nah, bro, I have pinpointed a specific player that's going to let us know where this team is.
All right, who is it, man?
It is CJ Gardner-Johnson. Because they need some grit on that defense. And if one thing we know, CJ brings the wood with him. If he can set the tone for that defense, I think that is going to make the world for a young team. We know that they can score. We know that they can put up points, but also we know they were just wide open on defense. And I mean, Hutchinson had, by many accounts, a really good rookie season. So yeah, man, that's the second and third levels pretty much let them down as a defensive unit. So I think if Gardner-Johnson can at least bring that mentality of we're not gonna be losers back here, like we gonna fight back. If he can instill that into the rest of the secondary, I think that's only a win for that team. So I got to go with CJ because we know he can go get the ball. We know he's going to lay the wood. He's not afraid of contact. Well, yeah, it's got to be him.
So I'm not mad at that pick because, yeah, they were piss poor in the secondary last year, which didn't make any sense, right? Because Aaron Glenn's their defensive coordinator. You figured if they had one position group that would be coached up well, you thought for sure it was the secondary where you're like, yeah, they got to be. But no, yeah, that secondary was piss poor. And I think you're fair with your assessment there. I think that can actually end up playing out really correct. But I had a different thought here. I went on the other side of the ball, and I said Jahmyr Gibbs. Look, I don't think either of us will sit here and try and blow smoke up to you and tell you that, you know, Jamal Williams is like the greatest running back ever, right? Yeah. But what he was for them was a culture setter. He was hey, our standard is this guy. And for a young team like that, you need guys like that keep the standard what it is, that say this is what the standard is. He was your emotional leader, all this stuff last year. Now you've lost him. And you thought, hey, well, we lost Jamal. DeAndre Swift was seeming to kind of come into his own as the year was going on. We're going to draft a running back in the first round. So for me, it's Jahmyr Gibbs all day. It's not even a question. You spend a first-round draft pick in this day and age on a running back in the first round, he better be motherfucking Adrian Peterson, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, he better be something like that. He can't just be average. He cannot be average. No. Look, you asking him essentially to replace the production of two guys because, look, I understand what David Montgomery is going to be for you. It's going to be a lot of short yardage situations. You're going to ask him to pound the ball, and I think everybody that listens to the show or watches this on YouTube, thank you, by the way. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and they'll get notified by everything. But I love David Montgomery. But my boy, he ain't pulling away from nobody. And the only dude that's supposed to be able to have that pull away this year is Gibbs. And if he ain't got it, I don't know where the big plays come from in the running game because Montgomery is not going to give them to you like that. So, look, man, Mace, we talked about this during the draft. After, our post-draft show, we both have real questions about this Detroit Lions draft. We're going to find out real quick into the season how things are actually going to go. And now, of course, we got the team that is my favorite team in this division, them ballers, them boys, the Chicago Bears. So last year, Mace, me and you both went right down the same alley. It was Cole Kmet. And Cole Kmet is a very fair barometer because I know a lot of people will talk about, Fields with all his running, da-da-da. Me and Mason's point to you last year was if Cole Kmet's having a good year, that means they own the ascension. That means Fields has had a good year. And that means you're seeing what you need to see out of your offense. You're seeing guys at key positions getting better. That's what you saw. Cole Kmet had a lot of touchdowns last year. He's going to only get better. You could see as the year was going, he got way more comfortable in the offense. I honest to God, Mace, I think after like week 6, I saw a completely different Cole Kmet in this offense. It was like after week 6, it like clicked in with him. And then it was like, oh, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. And I still remember that there was a certain YouTube football guru that wanted to try and criticize when I called out that he was wrong, that he didn't even understand what he was talking about. And he was like, no, that's not what they run. And I asked him simply, well, then explain it to me. What are they running? Had nothing to say. I ain't gonna say the person's name, but they know who they are. So he seemed to understand what's going on in the offense now. We know they've invested around Fields. We know that they've invested with more, bringing in more offensive linemen with Darnell Wright, getting the black hole himself of, I'm trying to forget it, Mustafar, getting that black hole out and moving Cody Whitehair back to a position that he already knows he can be a Pro Bowl at, all this stuff, right? So, Mace, who do you got being their X factor this year?
I'm going to go Tremaine Edmonds here. I think he's going to be asked to make a lot of plays, and I think this will be what he's able to do downhill, or what he's able to do sideline to sideline for you guys will not only be important for the season, obviously, but also it'll give them a great idea of where the holes are in that front 7. If he can have a really good season, it lets them know that, hey, they were right on track to understand that this defense is the front 7 of this defense is going to take multiple seasons to build up. So let's build up one side to where we know there's not that many holes. So I think his production is going to tell a lot about how right or wrong they were in building the team this way and making the moves they made. So I got to go Tremaine Edmonds because he's going to have to, he's going to have to make a lot of plays for that front 7. He's going to have to be sideline to sideline. He's going to have to be downhill. So it's about them boys in front of him, keeping him untouched. But he's going to have to be there.
Yeah, I think him and TJ will have a good time. They both do a very good job of getting to the point of attack very quickly, being able to read things out, keep blocks off of them too well. And on top of that, in the pass game, they both can cover a lot of ground. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But for me, I'm staying actually on the same side of the ball. I'm going Kyler Gordon. And the reason I say this is, look, I think Stevenson's going to be a great corner in the system. Me personally, watching his tape, I see a lot of things that I really, really like. There are a few things that, he's going to have to work on. But what you're starting with, I think, is a very good corner, and he's only going to get better. I know what Jalen Johnson is. I know what Eddie Jackson is. I know what Brisker is. Right? These are guys that all of those guys, I know they're going to make plays. Kyler Gordon is going to be asked a lot because, to my understanding, he's going to be the primary slot this year. And we know, Mace, your teams are running more nickel than ever now because there's more 3 wide receiver sets out there. If Kyler Gordon, who seemed to be playing better as the year went on last year, can start the year off stronger and then continue to improve, that's saying that this defense is in a good position. That's saying to me that Ngakoue, Justin Jones, maybe Dominique Robinson, Gibson, one of the rookies, maybe these guys are also getting pressure then too, right? Because we know this the way that defense is historically ran, you're not going to blitz a lot. You need your guy, your down 4 guys. Somebody got to be able to get home. That's a big part of the reason they brought in Ngakoue. But for me, it is 100% Kyler Gordon. He cannot get torched this year. He has to play great. Otherwise, that defense is going to be a long year. I think that look, if he plays great, if he's playing at a great level, this team has clearly won the division this year. Because the offense, I think pretty much everybody's confident that offense is going to ball out this year.
Yeah.
The questions on this team are, where's the pressure coming from? So we will see what happens. And look, if you ain't going to be able to get the most pressure, you need a good secondary. And like I said, Kyler Gordon, you're going to be getting asked to do a lot and cover a lot of quick and fast guys. So we'll see what happens here. But moving forward here, we have to get to the West Division now. So we might as well start in the NFC West here. And, well, you know, better yet, we'll start in the AFC West because this will be a lot easier. The AFC West is pretty clear. NFC West, there might be some questions. So we'll start here with the team that finished at the bottom of the division last year, the Denver Broncos, Mace. We know what happened last year. I don't think any of us need to know. Russ was out there cooking up poisonous food for the whole team. So how do you feel that this season is going to end up going for them?
I mean, just with the change of offensive philosophy, I do expect them to be a little better. I think that I don't expect Russ to be out there serving ham sandwiches again. He might not give you.
Them weren't even ham sandwiches. Them was spam sandwiches, bro.
Say he might not give you a steak dinner, man, but you gonna get some solid chicken and rice. You know what I'm saying? You gonna get some solid gameplay. Like I don't expect him to be as bad as he was. Huh? Yeah, I don't expect him to be as bad as he was last year. The defense is really good, man, and I think like I said, their pass rush, I think they ranked as a unit. I'm pretty sure they ranked in the top 5, 10, somewhere around there in their win rate. So I mean, Surtain is only getting better. They've got it. It just comes down to what that offense is going to give them, man. It's going to be them boys have to be consistent. They got to move the ball. They got to keep the defense off the field so much. I think Sean Payton can figure it out. There's nothing about him as a coordinator that says that he's not just going to, at minimum, he's going to keep them consistent. He knows how to get receivers open. He knows how to scheme up plays to get people open. So I think that's going to be the biggest help for them on offense is that there will probably be some guys running free and making the pass just rudimentary for Russell Wilson. So I expect them to be better. They're not finishing last. I don't see it. I can't see it.
Look, I agree with you entirely. I've, as a Bears fan, seen enough bad coach teams to know what a bad coach team looks like. And that was a piss poor coaching job by Nathaniel Hackett. Look, Aaron Rodgers is want to defend him all he want. Cool, bro. Good for you, because that's your man's. I'm glad that you have loyalty and you defend your man's. That's cool. But that was a poop show last year, okay? A straight poop show. So I think you're right. They can't be worse than they were last year. What's amazing to me is that defense actually was playing at like a championship level last year. Like that was a championship quality defense, and that offense was just coming out there pissing down their leg every possession, and it was
I think it was something like if their offense would have scored just like 18 points a game, they're winning double digits. Like they're a double digit team.
If through 13 weeks, if their offense scored just 18 a game, yes, they would have been 10-3.
18 points.
That's how bad it was. So, yeah, I think they are much improved this year. You are 100% correct with everything you said about Sean Payton, right? We've seen him scheme way less talented guys than what they have their wide receiver core open. So I think they most definitely have a good year. I think they finish around 500, but they're still going to be number 3 in this division to me. So might as well keep it moving forward here to another team that had a terrible season last year, the Oakland Raiders, Mace. There was a lot of expectation coming into the season with this team. People really thought they were going to be much better than they were. They ended up being god awful. I mean, it was not good. I mean, we let's talk about it for real, Mace. Josh McDaniels, his track record as a coach right now is not looking good.
Not at all, man.
Look, just remember something, football fans. Josh McDaniels is the same dude that told you Tim Tebow could be a damn NFL quarterback. I can't ever forgive him for that. And he said he ain't want Derek Carr no more. Okay, we're gonna see how that goes for you. So, Mace, how do you see the Raiders season going for them?
This is gonna be, if the Raiders win more than 4 games, I'm just be real with you, I'm gonna be surprised. Their ceiling for me is 4 games.
Oh my God.
It's your best offensive player doesn't want to be there, and Josh Jacobs.
Him and Devontae don't want to be there.
Devontae, I could definitely see him trying to force his way out of there by the deadline. You're basically going to be relying on Jimmy G to right the ship, and he's never been a right the ship guy. He's kind of, if everything is going good, I can at least keep us in games. But I don't see a lot going good. Let me just be real here. I don't see much going good for that team. Like I said, 4 games. I don't see much more than that. They will be in the quarterback sweepstakes for sure. They'll be in that Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So, hey.
Hey, you remember when Russ was like, Pat Bev trick y'all, man? Jimmy G be tricking some of y'all, man. Like, for real. Y'all see, this is where we try to explain to y'all over and over. Wins is not a quarterback stat. They can contribute to winning, but it's not a quarterback exclusive stat. It's not, they don't make the win or the loss. Your team still got to be good. Just ask Peyton Manning with some of them Indianapolis Colts teams where defense, he had Dragon Boys everywhere to a victory until they finally got White Freeney and what's
Bob
his name?
Sanders.
Who's the dude? Other dude? Nah.
The other rusher? Who you talking about? It's like
the other pass rusher.
Raheem something.
Oh God, how I forget his name. Well, we know what we're talking about. But Jimmy G be fooling y'all, man. Jimmy G is a bum. He is a straight bum, bro. He is not good. He's not. Like May said, when everything is going right around him, including the play calling, he balls. Actually, he didn't even ball. He just play all right. He played good enough for you to win games. When you should be dog walking people, he gets you good enough to win. There's a reason why they was like, look, Brock Purdy, we seen enough out of you. And Trey Lance is like, hey, we invested a pick, so we at least gonna give you a chance. There's a reason they was like, Jimmy, we don't need you, buddy. Okay, there's a reason why. Teams that usually when teams win that many games with a quarterback over some years, they got a franchise quarterback. They signing him up. They should tell y'all something that going into last season, they was like, Jimmy, we don't need you. And then going into the offseason this year, they was like, yeah, you can go. We don't need you. And now the Raiders is like, Josh McDaniels like, Jimmy, you gonna help save the day. You say 4 wins, Mace. I say 3.
Like I said, I'm not giving them much. I'm not giving them much at all. I can't. Yeah, I don't believe. First off, Josh McDaniels he's not a head coach. And Jimmy G can't put nothing on his back.
Nope. So, yep, Raiders fans, I hate to say it because I used to rock with y'all, but these type of moves is why I got off of that narcotic, because I knew, this ain't getting right. And then right when I was kind of feeling like maybe I might get back on base, what happened? They decided to do the dumps last year, and they're like, "Oh yeah, see." So I'm glad I stayed off this narcotic, bro. So I'm glad. But of course, we have to talk about now the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Mace, this team, they are the ultimate example of a team that just has to be themselves. And they will always be, apparently, the Chargers. Even when they have one of the best young quarterbacks in the game, they just can't help but be the Chargers, Mace. So how you see this season going for them?
Listen, man, the best, like we always say, the best ability is availability, and that team live in the training room. They spend their best players spend more time in the training room than they do on the field. And as long as that stands true, that team will never be as good as we think they are. Justin Herbert he's playing out of his mind, and you probably have maybe 2 more seasons before you have to start blowing that team up to account for his contract before it's just, like I said, it's going to be one of those deals where you're just going to have to, hopefully your scheme and team culture take over. But right now the culture is in that training room. So them boys are going to have to stay on the field. Plain and simple. I got nothing. Them boys have to stay on the field, because we know that a healthy Chargers team is the biggest threat in that division, or to the Chiefs. But at some point, they're not healthy anymore, and it's just a formality for the Chiefs at that point.
I can't disagree with anything you said. 100%. That is what it comes down to with this team. Can y'all be healthy? Can Mac, Bosa, Kendricks, J.C. Jackson, Derwin, can y'all boys stay healthy? Because we know that offense is going to give us production, right? They got a lot of talent over there. Like we said, they got one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. They added in Quentin Johnson, who we were both very high on, just didn't want to, neither of us wanted our team to invest a draft pick that high, right? Like that would have been problems. But you are 1,000% correct. If this team is not healthy, it means nothing. And it's primarily that defense, because we've seen, even with offensive line injuries, like Slater was hurt last year, Justin Herbert still be making it work. He still get the ball where it needs to be.
Keenan Allen goes down, he still makes it work with Mike Williams as the primary. Mike Williams goes down, Jordan Palmer starts producing. I mean, he seems to make it work on that offense. But defense-wise, if them boys are not healthy, they can't hold up. If Bosa, Mac, JC, Derwin, Kendricks, if the core of that defense, if the guys who we expect to make plays on that defense can't stay healthy, none of that matters, because they're what happens in the playoffs when you're dog walking a team and they come back on you in the second half. You got no playmakers. You got no. You got.
He ain't lying.
You've got nobody to kill that game off. You've got nobody to say, "Hold on now, this is still our game."
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't lose like that and think that it's not the defense, because you were up big. And yes, they had made plays early in the game, but if you go back and actually watch that game, a lot of that was just Trevor Lawrence. Was you high in the first half? Was you half drunk from the night before still or something? Like, because in the second half, he wasn't making them dumbass throws that he was making in the first half, right? So, excuse me. So I think me and Mason are both on the same page. If the defense don't stay healthy, it's over with. And just to confirm, you were 100% correct. They have 2 more seasons to figure it out, because Herbert's cap number this year is 8-4, and then next year it's 19, And then after that, it jumps to 37, 46, 58, 78, 59. They got 2 seasons to figure this out. Because otherwise, it's just going to become exponentially harder. Like I know at times it's especially when you watch like the results of the Chiefs, who we're about to get to here, you can kind of fool yourself and think that, oh man, if your quarterback's just good enough, right, you can keep that window open. Nah, there's one dude right now in the league that's like that, and that's Patrick Mahomes. There's one guy. Look, when everybody was saying they was gonna have a downfall because of Tyreek Hill being gone, they balled out and won another Super Bowl. So there's one quarterback in the league that's doing that for you right now. The rest of them, I mean, Mace, you can attest to it. It becomes exponentially harder to build your team, and you have to hit on all the draft picks.
You got to hit in the
once
draft.
You pay that quarterback. So we'll see what ends up happening with the Chargers. I think it would be great for football if they could just be healthy this year so we can watch a team in that division actually compete with the Chiefs. Because now talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, man, Mace, their season, we just discussed that. Their season was amazing last year. They continued to play at a high level. They lost a lot of key players. Tyreek Hill, Matthew, all these guys, and they still got back to the Super Bowl. How do you feel this season shakes out for the Chiefs?
I think that team got better simply because they hit on some receivers. Justin Ross, I don't know how he was it some sort of like issue? Did he have some legal issues or something like that kept him out of the draft? But that team receiving core, I think Patrick Mahomes is gonna have some fun having some tall go get it receivers this year, man. I'm not too sure here, but them coming up on Justin Ross in particular is a steal, to say the least, because that young fella is, like I said, who was this? He was Trevor Lawrence Trevor Lawrence's main target, wasn't he? At Clemson?
Yeah, so I think the reason why I know you asked what was the reason that he ended up falling. I think honestly it just came down to his production over the last season or two hadn't been the best. And he was also hurt during that time. Okay. So I think it was teams, they didn't want another Sammy Watkins, essentially, right? I think that's what it came down to. They're like, well, look, we've seen a bunch of these Clemson wide receivers come in. The only one that's been good has been DeAndre Hopkins. The rest of them have been average at best. So we're not going to invest that much into these guys. And we're going to think that it has more to do with the system for their production than it does the actual talent.
But yeah, man, like I could definitely see this young receiving core splashing early and often for them. It's kind of hard to find a hole on this team, bro, because we know the defense is going to make plays when they need to. We know, like I said, Chris Jones, he's neck and neck with Aaron Donald right there, and as far as interior defensive lineman goes, you can count on him to make plays when the team needs a play to be made, and that's something that not a lot of teams have anywhere on their defensive line. So that alone right there makes the rest of that defense so much better. Just the fact that Chris Jones is on that defensive player of the year trajectory as a defensive lineman. So I think it's going to be a long road for the rest of the AFC, because I don't see the Chiefs just having a down year. Like I said, you could probably chalk them for 13 and bet on the house. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not slowing down anytime soon. I don't know how to tell y'all that they're going to be good because we all know they're going to be good again, and they might be slightly better.
All I'm gonna say is, you gave Patrick Mahomes more weapons. Good luck to everybody in the AFC.
And not
Chiefs
just more weapons. They gave this man weapons in a way that he hasn't had before. He hasn't had those end zone those red zone go get it receivers. You mean to tell me if somebody, if you mean to tell me you got a guy 1-on-1 and you got a 6'3", 6'4" guy out there that's physical and can win a 1-on-1 battle, how that just doesn't open up the rest of the offense in the red zone? Because they're going to get 1-on-1s because those safeties going to be keyed in on Travis Kelce. We know this already.
Good luck to everybody in the AFC. Chiefs getting to the Super Bowl again. I'm not even going to waste a whole bunch of breath. They're getting to the Super Bowl again. That's how their season about to go. Until I'm proven differently, that's what's happening.
I mean, if you're asking me, their only competition may be Baltimore, and that's depending on health as well. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I need to see Ronnie Stanley be healthy. And then I'll
like I said, that's depending on health. Again, that's depending on outside forces other than football. So
we got to keep it moving to the NFC West. Might as well start with, let's see, the bottom team in the division last year, the Rams, right? The Rams were the bottom team, or was it the Cardinals? Either way, we'll start with the Rams.
I think it was the Cardinals.
They were both stinky last year. Okay, so let's start with the Rams, because I don't think either of us needs to waste too much time on the Cardinals. We've said our piece about Mr. Murray. Okay, we've said our piece a lot. But with the Rams, the season was pretty piss poor. I know some people will account it to injuries. We told everybody that there was going to be a fall off with the Rams last year. We let you know that roster was not good. Like we told you it wasn't good, and they had holes, and you saw it play out over the course of last year. Aaron Donald still balled out, right? But even Jalen Ramsey, you could argue, had a worse year. Now they've traded him away. Another year older with Matthew Stafford. How do you see this all playing out for them, Mace?
I think it'll be one of those situations where we see a competitive team, but they're still losing. It's gonna be one of those. They're close for 3.5 quarters, but they can't finish.
Yeah,
because we know McVay's scheme is always solid. We know that he's a good coach. We know this, and good coaches usually can get the most out of what they have, but they don't have much. So I see a lot of effort with not a lot of results this coming season.
Don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think this becomes the year, though, where by the end of the year they figure out, hey, maybe we should talk to Matthew Stafford about retiring, and we need to move on.
Because, I mean, everything that's coming out of camp is like everybody's blown away with Stetson Bennett. I mean, he might be 30 already, you know what I'm saying?
Look, you're not doing this with – no, we're not doing this, Mace. We're not doing this Stetson Bennett hype. We're not doing that.
I'm not hyping him up. I'm just reporting what's being said about Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, a lot of niggas can look good when they playing against the third string, Mace. You playing against a bunch of niggas, especially in camp, they ain't even gonna make the roster.
I'm just giving the people the information as I get the information.
You will stop it. Stop it.
Everybody in the office is high on Stetson Bennett right now. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
They better put themselves in a position to either trade for a pick to get Caleb Williams or to have that pick already.
That's all I'm saying, bro, is that they like Stetson Bennett right now. That's all I'm saying.
Hell no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen those reports too. And you know what I say to that? Yeah, he playing against third stringers. Get out of my face.
That's all I'm saying, man. I mean,
shut up, Stetson Bennett. You shut.
That's all
had
I'm saying.
Of you. I had enough. Whatever. But to Mace's point, I don't see this being markedly better than last year. I think this is we're going to call this one like a Jeff Fisher year because it's going to be around 8 and 9, or I'm sorry, it is 8 and 9, or like maybe even 7 and 10. I don't, because they're going to be competitive in some games, but they're just not going to be able to get the job done. So, but moving forward, we might as well knock it out real quick. Just get him out the way. Mace, how you feel this season gonna go for Kyler Murray? Is he done playing Call of Duty? Because Call of Duty been out for a while now. Do you think he maybe got some focus this year, or is it just still Call of Duty?
Well, we know FaZe Kyler always shows up at the beginning of the season. Dog, don't you do this?
Oh, no.
We know what this is, man. A guy's just not gonna all of a sudden change who he is in year, what is this now, 6 for Kyler? I feel like this is somewhere around 6, 5. A guy's just not gonna change who he is in year 5. I mean, Kyler is who he is. He's always been the best athlete on the field until he got to the pros. And for whatever, and he did not have a coach in Kingsbury who could explain that to him, because he didn't have a coach who coached in the league prior to then. So
he didn't have a coach who could actually coach him. Kingsbury say something to him. We saw what happened when he said something to him. That man came back to the sidelines cursing him out. Like, what?
Yeah, man. I mean,
there was no respect there.
You let a guy do that for too long, it goes to his head, and there's nothing harder than killing an athlete's ego, and then having them actually play well after you do so.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck with the monster in the building right now, because do you want to kill Kyler's ego and then all of a sudden he don't think he's that guy anymore? Because you paid him like he is, and ain't nobody told him that he wasn't for the first 5 years of his career. So what do you do in that situation? They are in a bad way with Kyler Murray right now.
For me, it's very simple. Their coach either establishes a real culture that isn't just built off of letting Kyler Murray do whatever the hell he wants to do, or they're going to fall flat on their face this year. Regardless, talent-wise, I think they're only maybe a 6-win team. But this season comes down to Kyler Murray. Did you just waste a bunch of money and draft picks on this guy? Did you do that? We'll see. Spoiler alert. They did. But moving forward here, get to the two teams that are actually worth something in this division. Okay. So might as well start with the team who many feel has the best overall roster in the league, in the San Francisco 49ers. We've talked about what went on with Jimmy G already, right? When we were talking about the AFC, right? So we already know that. Reports are coming out. The starter is going to end up being what's his name?
Is it Purdy?
Purdy, there we go. Yeah, for some reason Zach popped in my head, but I knew that was New England's guy, and I was like, what is his name? But yeah, so from what I've seen, looks like Purdy is going to be the starter. They are still allowing Trey Lance to compete. I've heard the hype train about Sam Darnold. Miss me with the bull. Okay, I'm not hearing it. I've seen him play football in the NFL. I know what he is. Okay, so Mace, how do you see this season end up shaking out for them?
Probably somewhere around the similar fashion as it was last year. I think it's going to take that offense a little bit of time to finally settle into what they want to do. Like the offensive line seems to have gotten a little worse this over the offseason. Like I said, they're not like completely settled on the quarterback. We know skill-wise, position player-wise, they have guys that can make plays. But they're going to rely on that defense that first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, probably a lot more. And that may be their early kind of pitfall where they have to like dig themselves out of a hole, but we know they're more than capable of doing so. That addition of Javon Hargraves, I think, is only going to skyrocket the rest of that defensive line, the rest of that front seven. Man, like I said, roster-wise, they're just – you can't really find a hole in that team. Maybe the loss of Jimmy Ward is going to mean something. Maybe it's not, because they just seem to just put a guy in positions in a lot of spots on that team, and they do well, just because overall the culture and scheme there is already established. So it's like you have a role to do. You ain't got to do more. You ain't got to do less. Do your role. And that is always a good. It's always a good thing when you give players less responsibility so they can play faster, play harder. So, man, it's tough. Quarterback play is going to dictate where they end up.
Can't disagree with anything you said. I think you hit San Francisco on the money. Can they keep a good quarterback healthy for the course of the year? Because last year, what truly did them in against the Eagles and made it just a non-competitive game is they didn't have a quarterback by the end of it. They had Brock Purdy trying to throw left-handed. They had McCaffrey taking snaps at quarterback. It was a bad look. So can they keep the quarterback healthy? We will see. I think that's what it comes down to, because everything else is great, but you need some quarterback play for sure. And now, Mace, we might as well move on to the team that I think surpassed everybody's expectations last year, except for Pete Carroll. Again, Pete, we sorry around here. We didn't mean to be disrespectful to your name like that. But do you feel like this team is in a position to repeat on their performance last year, even if it's not them winning the division, right? Are they a potential playoff team this year?
I definitely think so. They've only gotten better as a team. I think they have the offensive firepower to compete with anybody. I think they have the talent on defense to be in games when it matters. Like I don't think this is going to be one of those teams where you can get them down and beat them down. So they showed that last year that they are always going to be fighting. They've got some real weapons on the offense. Defense, they've got some guys that can take the ball away. What it comes down to is how uncomfortable can they make the other offense. That's really what it comes down to. Like I said, I expect them to be good this coming season, to build on their on last season, or to be better. So I think they can really challenge San Francisco if San Francisco stumbles early for that division. Yeah, man, we counted Pete out because of Russell Wilson, and we were wrong. Counted you out, Pete, and we made a mistake.
Yeah, Pete, again, we sorry. We should have known it was Russell Wilson. We sorry, bro. We sorry. But I can't disagree with you, Mace. This season, for sure for me, comes down to like their first 6 games. Because both them and San Francisco have a pretty comparable schedule as far as like the strength of schedule in those first 6 games. Whichever team gets off to the better start, I think ends up winning the division. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be Seattle. I think they're in a better position. Geno's going into year 2 into this system. which means he's only going to get better. They added in Smith and Jogba, who we both were very, very high on in the draft.
The crazy thing to think about is Geno Smith is the best quarterback in that division.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty true considering where we would have said Geno Smith was going into last season. That is super wild. Like I said, I think by the end of last season, I'm convinced Geno Smith is the next Rich Gannon story in the league, a guy that just needed to find the right situation in the right spot, and it all came together for him. So I think he's like the next story in that line. But as far as Seattle's season overall, there's going to be one specific player that it comes down to. I'm not going to say it now. I'm going to save that for our X Factors next week. But defensively, they're going to need somebody to ball out. And it's not Blitz Boy for all you guys out there about to say, oh, he going to say Jamal Adams. No, it's not Blitz Boy, okay? Y'all already know how we feel about Blitz Boy. You already know what it is. We not on the hype train. We watch him play football and be like, is he that good?
My man hasn't had a good season in coverage since he left the Jets. This man was getting torched by Julian Edelman the moment he left the Jets.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will most definitely say, oh, you guys are going to say it's Blitz Boy, blah, 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 because he was hurt last year. No, not at all. Because what it proved to me last year with him being hurt is, yeah, he's really not as good as what you guys keep trying to tell us. Because guess what? They didn't have fall off at their safety position. They actually had safeties who played better in coverage. Amazing how that works. Amazing. So, I think their season comes down to a very specific player, and we'll get in. I'll give you that player next week. But Mace, tell the people where to find you.
You know, man, Twitter, funky_stuff09, Twitch, twitch.tv/swaggy mace. Hit your boy up. I'm always on this game, making it happen.
At JSpan the man, everywhere you see my pretty face or the ITC logo. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, rate us, share us, hit that notification bell so you're always notified when we drop new content. And like always, shout out to all the muscle mommies. But Mace, this again was another resounding episode of their favorite weekly sports show. And that is ITC
Sportsball.
And look, I'll do it for him, Mace. Yeah.
We can't end the show without it.